calling all Kingdom women entrepreneurs, the vision builders, the boundary breakers, and the passion igniters who know they're called and anointed to impact positive change for the kingdom through your business.
A business that honors and serves God. Welcome to Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs Podcast.
This is your host, Fideliz Cruz.
And I'm Annemarie Cross. Now, onto the show. So welcome, Fideliz, to our very first episode. Great to be here with you today.
Yeah, what a blessing. Can you believe we're actually on our first episode now, Annemarie? That's crazy.
It is crazy. So we thought we would do the first episode and taking some time and introducing the Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs Podcast and why we're partnering to create this podcast and our vision and our mission and what we hope to create. So love to hear your thoughts as to why we're starting this podcast.
Absolutely. And you know what? I just want to say, what an honor to be able to do this with you, Annemarie. You're the podcast queen. Come on. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. And I feel like certainly I'm going to be learning a lot from you as an expert in this field, but also just this platform to be able to share, what God has been doing in both our life and in our business. It's going to be amazing. I think
and it's an honor to be able to partner with you too, because, when we were discussing this in the initial stages, as you said, I think each of us has, the Lord has been directing us through different journeys, different challenges and so forth. And I think as Kingdom, business women, and obviously the people who will be listening to this too, so often what happens is we assume that, I'm the only one that's going through this. And when we realize there's been other sisters in Christ who have experienced the same thing, what can we learn from one another? How can we empower one another? How can we inspire? And so it's an honor to be able to partner with you in the creation of what I know is going to be an incredible platform that, we can speak and share our journeys.
Yeah, so good. I love how God connects us. It's really a divine connection. Having, someone that can speak from, I guess, in the podcast world, in the industry of podcasts, sharing stories, but also from a place where, for me, I've been in the life coaching, business coaching industry for quite some time as well. I think it's a really good connection. And it's a good way to kind of meet together and put those two things together and be able to share some valuable content and help our audience together.
Yeah, terrific. So let me share what we came up for our vision and our mission. And really what we said was to empower and encourage Kingdom women entrepreneurs to be able to shine in their uniqueness and God-given calling. I mean, I get goosebumps when I share that.
It's so good. I feel like, as a coach also, like one of the things that I love is seeing women really rising up in the things that they love to do, being in their zone, and just not holding back and just using all their gifts and talents for God. I think that's such an incredible thing. And I love that, we get to witness that at you yourself, Annemarie, with your, podcast and being able to help people launch their podcast. Don't you feel amazing when you see them and they're actually doing, what they're meant to be doing?
What's really interesting about when we look at our unique gifts and talents, how often do we admire the gifts and talents in others? And sometimes what can happen is we can start to diminish what we bring to the table. And I think that's really sad. I mean, you work with incredible coaches, consultants, other business women who love the Lord. I mean, how often have you heard someone disregard, even if they don't mean to, but really downplay their gifts and talents? I'm sure you have worked with a lot of women who have done that, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think and I've said this many, many times even in our interviews, most of the time it's ourselves that's holding us back because of the thought that, what, do I really have anything to offer here? And just questioning yourself and maybe even doubting yourself that, is there something that I have that I can share? What are the gifts and the talents that I have? And how can I share that? And I think that's why it's so important to have community, to have coaches, to have people around you, to go, you know what, I see this in you, and just have that confirmation and encouragement for someone, and maybe even pointing out, hey, sis, you have this gift in this area.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting how I'm sure when we all share some of the things, the doubts, the disbelief, similarly, we can see that the enemy really wants to keep us stuck, doesn't he? Because he does not want us to shine in the area that he knows the Lord has gifted us, has called us, and we can often end up playing small or not sharing our message and our journey at all, which means people who the Lord has called us to serve and support won't get to hear our story, won't get to hear our insights and learn from those insights. And so everyone has a unique story. Everyone has unique gifts and talents. It's being able to identify what are those unique gifts and talents for you. How can you best support your ideal clients to be able to learn from you, and just continue to focus on that. So we are so excited to be able to empower and encourage other Kingdom women entrepreneurs as well. And of course, the secondary goal, and we shared a little bit about that earlier, where we really want to use this platform to be able to build relationships with other Kingdom women entrepreneurs. There may be some people who may be circling around, who maybe have watched and read content that we've been sharing. And we hope that through sharing a little bit more about our personal journeys and things that we've learned, that we can continue to build those relationships. And if it so happens that they decide, hey, I'd love to find out more about KWE and spend, some time learning more about Coach Fideliz, or hey, I want to launch a podcast. How can I do that? That this may then give them a reason to reach out, connect, and find out more about each of the services and programs that we can support. And of course, that's a secondary goal. It's not our primary goal, but we can use a podcast to be able to build relationships in a powerful way. So that's of course our secondary goal. Let's talk about, Fideliz, how we hope to achieve that. I mean, we hinted, our stories. There may be key Bible verses that have been very impactful for us. How are we going to continue to do that? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, back to the stories, I think real life testaments are super important. And there's so many things, I guess, with podcasts these days. We could, I guess there's a lot of content. There's a lot of sound and a lot of noise in this world, but it's so important that I guess when we're listening to someone, not only are we listening to the insights or things like this is the to-do list, or this is how to, but also looking at the person's life and looking to see whether, have you actually gone through that, and the lessons and the insights that they're sharing, are they living it out? And I think that's really powerful. And as Christian entrepreneurs, I think we have that responsibility to be light, salt and light in the world. And I just think that's one way for us to share as a podcast, is sharing our story and making sure that, hey, you know what, we're not just sharing stories, we're not just sharing scripture or a to-do list, or this is how you do it, but just sharing from experience as well, because there's power in sharing through testimony.
Yes. And I think one of the things that when I've spoken to you over the last couple of months as we've been preparing, one of the things that I know is both important to both of us is that as we continue to share insights in our stories and our journeys, we hope that it will encourage others to share theirs.
Yes.
So if you happen to see a post or you happen to listen to one of our episodes, we want to hear from you, don't we? We want to hear from our audience. We just don't want it to be us speaking. I mean, it's going to be, but we hope that we empower and encourage others to share their stories. Let us know, how has it been impactful for you? How has it played out in your life? Because as we continue to share our stories, and this leads me to the next question, our passion and what drives us, that's what we really hope will come from this particular podcast, that others will speak up, others will stand out and share. And we want to hear from others as well. So we've got a community that we're building that, and of course you can share a bit more about KWE too, where we hope that they will come and share their stories and what, you know, prompted them through the content that we continue to share. So let me ask you, Fideliz, what drives you? What are you passionate about?
Wow, what drives me? You always ask the best questions, Annemarie. It's so good. What drives me? For me, it's really, you know, making sure that I'm using all my gifts and talents. Like I say this to my family, my parents. They ask me the same question: why do you do what you do? And why is it that you're so driven and passionate about it? I think for me, I know that, you know, I'm accountable to God. My life is only borrowed and has been a blessing, you know, and I want to make sure that when I leave this earth, that I am all emptied out with all my gifts and talents. I've used it all up. And that's what drives me. That would be the ultimate reason why, you know, I do what I do. And want to make sure that when I, you know, it is a step of obedience to what God has called me to do. And thank God, you know, over the years I've been searching. I was like, God, what is it that you've called me to do? I've been trying to figure it out. But actually, you know, thank God he's really helped me discover that through my entrepreneurial journey. So starting out as a stylist, a personal stylist, then later on becoming a Christian coach. And then I was like, wow, God, this is it. And I've never looked back since, you know, and now I'm a Christian business coach. And I just love that. I believe this is where I've been called to serve. And that's what just drives me, you know, seeing people's lives change, realizing that there is more to waiting for, I guess, hey, I'll wait till God calls me home and I'll experience heaven. But you know what? Heaven can happen here on earth as we serve him and do the things that he's called us to do. I feel like that's heaven because you're always with God. You're partnered with him.
You know what I love about that, and I resonate with that, is that when we come to the end of our life and we stand before the throne, there's no way that I would want the Lord to say, wow, look behind you, here are all these gifts and talents and things that were in store for you to use, and you only used a percentage of those. I mean, oh my goodness, can you imagine? And I think through, it's interesting, as you were talking about your journey, I think we all have one, don't we? One particular experience leads to another, and when we look back, we can then start to see how the Lord has led us to a particular area where we can use all of those gifts and talents and learnings. At the time we may not see it, there's that lack of clarity, but when we see how we can use all of those things together, it really makes sense. But what's important is, as we're going through that journey, to remain obedient, to continue to take those steps. Imagine if you'd have stopped at just doing one particular area and not recognizing and realizing, hey, I've got an ability to coach. I can coach those other Christian entrepreneurs. You would never have found out the more that the Lord had put in you, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's the heart. So don't stop. You know, God knows your desire to please him, to give glory to him. You have a desire, and God knows all about that desire, right? Yes. And so he's going to meet you there, and he's going to show you exactly, you know, the steps after the next step, but you're going to take the step.
Yeah.
You're going to be obedient with that step first, and then, you know, it'll happen and you'll see.
One of the things that I have learned over the years, looking back, I mean, if we think about the Lord and our relationship with the Lord wants us to seek him first, doesn't he? That whole getting to know who he is and having that experiential relationship with him, and realizing how much he loves us and wants to have a relationship with us. And I love that verse that says, you know, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then you realize the more that you delight, the more you desire to get close to him. And all of those other things are added.
They all follow.
You know, I love that. Let me share a little bit about what drives me too. And I often say if you imagine two circles and they intertwine, And on one side of the circle, it is what you're passionate about and what really drives you, you love to do. On the other side, it's the word peeve. So what really peeves you off, and it's your stand for. So you cannot help but speak up, speak out against something. And where it intertwines, those two circles, is that purpose. And so when I look at what I'm passionate about and what peeves me off and that intersecting circle of the purpose, they actually do combine. And for me, it is helping others to understand what is my voice, what is my unique and uncopyable message, so that they can really shine and make an impact in the world that the Lord has really called them to do. And what peeves me off on the other side of that is when people are looked down upon, when there is, you know, innuendo spoken about others, or lies or mistruth. I just have to stand up and say something. And I think back to when I started my first podcast back in 2008. It was a co-hosted podcast, and that was when the global financial crisis hit. And across every single mainstream media, which back then was print, it was television and radio, every one of those news channels was talking about the doom and gloom and chaos and crisis and crisis and crisis. Sadly, mainstream media hasn't changed much. And so a colleague and I, we felt we needed to be the voice of hope and inspiration. I was in the career industry, and we knew things were difficult, but we knew they weren't impossible. People needed to change their approach in their job search. So we had no idea what we were doing, but what drove us was the passion to inspire and empower people. This is the way that we should look at job search. And what peeved me off was being that voice against, you know, the doom and gloom. And I think all of us today, if we look at what's being shared across mainstream media and just, you know, in other channels, we have the voice of hope and inspiration, because we know Jesus is the only hope.
Yes.
You know, so now is a time. I mean, our light, we don't have to do much to be the light in the world. I mean, I don't say that as being sarcastic, but there is so much going on where if we just share, imagine the light and hope that we can be. And we're talking to the audience now too.
So good.
You can be that hope, inspiration, and bring hope and inspiration and empowerment into your industry through, you know, the voice and the content that you share.
Yeah, so beautiful. I just love your story, Annemarie. I love that. And I love what you've shared with the, you know, the pain, I guess, the pain point, or what peeves you.
Yeah, what peeves you off. Because you cannot help but stand up. I mean, there are some women who, and I know that you work, you know, a number of your prophets and so forth go to support trafficking organizations. That peeves me off. How dare someone take these women and children and, you know, into bondage and in that way? I mean, how dare they? We have to stand up and speak out and say that is not right.
Yes, you know? Yes. Oh, I love it. Well, you're in the right industry, Annemarie, with the podcast.
Yeah, this is the media. This is the media platform, you know, and what really peeves me off, try to shut me down and I will find a way. Do not, especially if it aligns with what the Lord says, and we can find biblical proof, because this is what God says, that this is what God says. Do not come, you know, do not try and change the Bible. I mean, all of the things. These are just some of the things that I'm sure we'll be able to share on other episodes too. But we hope that through sharing a little bit about our stories and journey and what drives us, that it can empower others to really find that thing. What fires you up?
Yeah. What peeves you? Like, ask yourself, what is that thing that, you know, what's my pain point? I guess for me, Annemarie, I really relate to that, because the reason why I actually became a life coach or a business coach was also because I was looking for that coach. You know, at some point I was like, you know, no one understood me in terms of putting faith and business together. And I felt so rejected every time I went to ask for mentorship or ask for coaching. And then God spoke to me and said, why don't you become the answer to that? Why don't you start coaching Christian business owners? And so that's how now I've become a Christian business coach. So from your pain point, or from your whatever it is that annoys you or peeves you, then it comes that again, then the passion and then the purpose. I just love that. So whoever's listening now, go and seek out and go, what is it? What is that thing?
What fires you up, you know, that you have
Yeah.
to stand up and say, enough is enough. We have to share truth around this. We need to share hope and possibility. And then if I look at the mission statement then that came out of that for Podcasting with Purpose and other programs that we have, it's that impacting the world, one message, one podcast at a time. It's a ripple effect, isn't it?
Yes.
We may go out and share something and one person hears that. It doesn't matter if it's one person, because that one person can tell another person who might tell 10 people. It's this ripple effect. And I remember years ago at a business event, one of the things that we needed to focus on, they encouraged us, well, what is kind of a number if you put on that? And a few people were talking, I want to impact 1 million people. And I just went, I want to impact 1 billion people.
Wow.
Someone turned around to me and go, how are you going to measure that? It said, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to work with other amazing change makers, such as yourself, Fideliz, and the audience and the community that they impact, and so on and so forth. It'll be like a ripple effect. So I don't need to do the 1 billion. It'll be the others that come around us in an impact, and together we will impact that billion. So this is part of it. This is part of that billion.
Hey, Annemarie, that really reminds me of, you know, when God is the one that causes things to grow. You know, all we need is that seed, and being really a good steward of that seed. So let's talk about your gifts, your talents, the things that God has put within you. And that for you is sharing the message, being a voice, and you putting that in somewhere in an environment where you know it's going to thrive and grow. Guess what? God is honoring that. God is honoring the hard work. God is honoring, you know, your dedication and passion towards that. And he's the one that's causing it to grow. And that's not impossible, to have billions and millions of people being impacted by the work that you do. And that is totally possible with God.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As we know, nothing is impossible for the Lord. And so, of course, this is Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs podcast. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing with these episodes is also sharing it on the Christian Entrepreneurs podcast. I started that podcast after hearing rumblings that certain local governments or governments, state governments, were really limiting the sharing of faith. And I've always said the day that I am told I cannot speak about the Lord or my faith is the day that I'm going to climb the highest mountain with the loudest microphone and I'm going to speak. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to invite other Christian entrepreneurs.
That's so good.
And together we'll be able to share our journeys of faith. So the Christian entrepreneurs started off with what peeved me off. Because you tell me that I can't speak about the Lord. No,
yeah,
there's no way.
And that's so funny. As you said that, I was like, well, I'm coming with you. I'm going to that mountain with you, and I'll be speaking.
Let's all climb up on that mountain and share the truth
exactly.
of the Lord. Because my goodness, you know, people are looking, they're seeking. They just don't realize they're looking for Jesus.
So
it's been inbuilt in your heart.
Yeah.
For those, obviously, the people who are listening know that. But those who are seeking and who don't know the Lord yet don't realize that the Lord has created them to seek him, to crave for him. So people that are listening and to this, your message may be exactly what others need to hear to be able to learn more and give their lives to the Lord. So before we finish up this show, I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done in the creating or getting ready to create the podcast. And one of the things we did, we took a little bit of an assessment, one that I love to use, and that was the branding with archetypes. Yeah. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your archetypes. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because we'll notice a little bit of a different flavor, a little bit of a different way that both of us come to sharing our content, but it'll blend beautifully because we're aware of the unique characteristics and mannerisms that the Lord
I love it, sis.
created
I
each of
feel
us. So
like,
share a little bit about what came up for you when you did this assessment.
oh, thank you. So Annemarie sent me this this kind of quiz or assessment thing, and I think for me, one of them came back as romantic.
Yes.
Okay, so that stood out for me, and I feel like this is pertaining to how I guess I communicate and I relate to people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anne-Marie. So that's, I think for me, it shows quite I think quite well on my socials. If you think about it, I've got quite a lot of romantic, like, soft tones in terms of branding, as you can see my Kingdom Woman as well behind me. But I guess for me, I love words of affirmation and being able to encourage people I speak to and just be really romantic about, oh my goodness, and just really encourage people and and just talk about how amazing they are. I love that. I think that's one of
because
the things I love
romantic
to
is
do.
really all about the connection with others. And, with the archetypes, again, for me, and one of the reasons why I use this is because it also aligns with purpose and calling too. You might have 10 different coaches who are working in a specific industry, but you bring the unique blend of romantic, alchemist, and of course the maverick and the jester. So the maverick challenges the status quo, puts our feet to the fire. Jester brings in kind of that humor, and that's kind of what we'll see as we move forward. But I love that, and we see that coming through too, that kind of the romantic, and then the alchemist is kind of it's interesting because the alchemist kind of influences the romantic and how she comes through. And the alchemist is one of the alchemists. They have their feet on the ground, anchored, but also in the air as well, kind of bringing that, the miracles. Some people like to call it magic. I call it miracles, within that. So that's the kind of style. And we do see that in the socials, that coming through, that real beautiful connection.
Very interesting. And I feel like we're kind of very, is it opposite? Would we say opposite, Anne-Marie? Or,
because let me just share mine's explorer. So no wonder that I was in the career industry, really helping people to identify what makes them unique, and authentic, what's authentic for you. The second for me is ruler, and that's how that influences the explorer. So ruler is about systems and processes, strategies, and then my last is nurturer. So that nurturer, that balances out the top two, which can be very much there from the power quadrant. And so the nurture softens that more. So it kind of can be, because explorer is and ruler is that power quadrant, which is kind of opposite from that soft connection. But my nurturer will balance that out for me, thankfully.
I love it. I can hear it in your voice. You always talk about things that you're so passionate about. And when you speak up and you're really passionate about a certain topic, I see that when you're doing it.
Yeah. So we thought we would share that a little bit too, the different styles, but it blends really beautifully. And, and I think what's really important though, if other people are thinking of doing something collaboratively with partnerships and so forth, is to make sure that the vision and the mission is so important, and that's clear, that that you're both working towards that. And of course, we hope that when we've just taken a little bit of a behind the scenes, we can share with others, that they can see that coming through too. And Fideliz will bring that beautiful romantic alchemist maverick jester to the table, and I'll bring the explorer, ruler, and nurturer, and together we will we hope, isn't it? We hope and pray that we'll bring inspiring and empowering content and stories to help others do the same in their industries too.
Exciting. So exciting. I'm
so
looking
what
forward
can we
to
expect for future shows? I know the next one that we're doing is we're going to disclose some of the mistakes, our top 3 mistakes that we made in business. You'll be sharing some of yours, and I'll be sharing some of mine, in the hope that others will be able to learn. Maybe those are the mistakes that they're making too, to think, oh, well, we need to change, need to do something different.
Exactly. We're going to jump right in and share everything that, and that's so good, because for me, starting a business, many years ago, I wish there was someone to tell me, hey, be careful, don't do this. These are the mistakes that I've made. And I didn't have that. So I've had to experience those mistakes and learn on my own. But hey, we're going to tell you all about it in our next episode. So make sure you tune in.
Absolutely. And sis, if people want to find out a little bit more about Kingdom Women Entrepreneur Community, can you share a little bit about that before we go?
Yes, please come and join us. So we're all about community. You can't do this, kingdom entrepreneurial journey alone. You have to be with someone. You have to be with a community. So Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs Community is absolutely free, and we are on Facebook. So we have a Facebook group. Just come and join us. You've got to just type in Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs on the Facebook groups. It'll pop up, join in, and we'll be there ready to welcome you in. And you can also catch us on Kingdom Women Entrepreneurs Instagram as well to see all the amazing things that we're doing together. Basically, it is a safe place for women who love to serve God through their business. We do a lot of equipping there. We have prayer meetings every month. We have in-person meetings as well if you're in Sydney. So please come. Would love for you guys to be there.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we'll see you in episode 2.
See you soon. Thanks for listening. We hope you've been encouraged by today's message. If you'd like to find out more about how you can work with a Christian business coach and to grow your business and be part of our free KWE community, go to kingdomwomenentrepreneurs.com.
And if you'd like to learn more about how to start a Kingdom Focus podcast so you can build your visibility and impact in a much bigger way, go to podcastingwithpurpose.com/Kingdom Podcast. And we would love you to leave some feedback over on our Apple Podcast channel. We'd really appreciate it.